Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Shireen Bhan. The headlines we're tracking for you this evening. Markets shatter records again. The sensex and the nifty end at all-time highs after a strong rally. Both indices up 3% this week, the biggest weekly gain in a year. Stocks of asset management companies clock significant gains after SEBI decides to revisit its proposal on total expense ratio rationalization. Chairperson Madhavi Puri Butt says the regulator will soon come up with a second consultation paper on regulating unregistered financial influencers as well. The Karnataka High Court dismisses Twitter's plea against the union government's order to block some tweets and accounts, imposes a 50 lakh rupee fine on the social media platform for not complying with government orders. The government delays a 20% TCS rule for overseas remittances over 7 lakh rupees. The new rule will come into effect from the 1st of October. Overseas credit card spends will not be subject to TCS. The global demand for aviation is back near pre-pandemic levels, says the CEO of British Airways, Sean Doyle. Finds the opportunity in India is exciting, adds that routes are being monitored closely for expansion, also that rising inflation is hurting the business environment. The government rolls out production-linked incentive schemes under the National Green Hydrogen Mission, announces a 5-year outlay of 4,400 crore rupees for electrolyzers. The total outlay for FY25 to FY30 stands at 13,050 crores. High drama in Manipur. Chief Minister Biren Singh was supposed to meet the governor and tender in his resignation, but his supporters allegedly tore up the resignation letter before the meeting. Singh tweets that he will not be resigning. Ethnic violence in the state has claimed more than 100 lives in the last 2 months. The United States Supreme Court strikes down affirmative action admission programs at Harvard and the University of Northern California as unlawful, says race can no longer be considered a factor in university admissions. President Biden slams the decision, says discrimination still exists in America. Artificial sweetener aspartame used in diet sodas and other sugar-free products is set to be declared as a possible carcinogen. A report by Reuters says the WHO's cancer unit is likely to make the announcement next month. We never stopped investing in the metaverse, says the new CEO of Meta in India, Sandhya Devanathan. Hopes to turn India into the largest base of developers to build the metaverse. That's a CNBC-TV18 exclusive. Well, we do have a packed show lined up for you, but first up, the market action. It was another record-breaking day on the Lal Street. The Sensex gained over 800 points and now has moved within touching distance of 65,000. The Nifty gained over 200 points today and ended comfortably above the 19,000 mark. The Nifty Bank and the Nifty Mid-Cap Index also ending at record highs. Prashant is here to wrap up not just today's record-breaking action, but it's been quite a week for our markets, Prashant.
Well, the market seems to have moved into another gear, basically. We hit 19,000 day before yesterday. Yesterday was a market holiday. And today, guess what? 19,200, just like that. The Nifty Bank on your screen also clocked in very healthy gains. It had taken out on Tuesday's session an important short-term reversal level. And, it kind of played through both day before and today for the Nifty Bank as well. Large cap stocks, very briefly, Mahindra & Mahindra, Infosys, IndusInd Bank were some of the gainers. There was also Hero, Sun Pharma and TCS, which looked quite strong. Losses coming through in a few names. Adani Ports and Adani Transmission. Actually, that group stocks were lower. I'll come to more in a bit. And Divi's Laboratories was another one which was down, but far more higher and in a more powerful way as compared to what was down. Broader markets is where the action is once again. Huge volume-led activity. So I'll really race through this because long list. The asset management companies, all of them doing very well. HDFC, UTI, Nippon. Banks, right? Karnataka Bank, South Indian Bank, DCB, J&K Bank, all looking good. JBM Auto has been a huge outperformer. JK Tyre, TD Power are some of the other names. You had Biocon, Shilpa Medicare, Amrutanjan. 63 Moons was a big winner, of course, with regards to news flow, but there was a flip side with MCX losing, which I'll mention in a bit. Phenolics Cables, Genus Power. I could go on because the list of volume-led gainers is really very long. And this, by the way, on a day when mid-caps and small caps, in a way, underperformed what the Nifty did. Losers in the broader space, Adani Transmission was down, Credit Access, Ease My Trip, all three had some blocks. There were also losers in MCX, as I pointed out, PNB Housing and Landmark, which is a premium car dealership, which came under some bit of selling pressure. For the week, it's been with one-day holiday, it's been between 2.5% to 3% gains, so the momentum is only picking up. Back to you.
All right, Prashant, many thanks for joining us. As Prashant was pointing out, stocks of asset management companies gained significantly today. SEBI chairperson Madhavi Puri Butch has also said that the market regulator will bring out a second consultation paper on regulating unregistered financial influencers, and that is expected to happen soon. Take a look.
पिछले 2-3 मीटिंग्स में ये चर्चा हुई है कि इन्फ्लुएंसर्स बढ़ रहे हैं और सेबी का क्या मानना है इसमें। आपने देखा होगा हाल ही में हमने कुछ ऑर्डर्स इशू किए हैं, वो तो आपने नोटिस किया ही होगा। उससे ऊपर अब जो हमारी थिंकिंग है वो अब क्रिस्टलाइज हो रही है। कुछ एक महीनों में हम कंसल्टेशन पेपर लाएंगे।
Well, that is the SEBI chief. Now, 8 out of 10 Adani Group stocks fell in today's trade. This after market regulator SEBI had declared that foreign investors with more than 50% of their equity holding in a single Indian corporate must disclose financial ownership details. The move comes after SEBI told the Supreme Court it had drawn a blank in identifying beneficial owners of 13 FPIs invested in Adani Group stocks. In relief for international travellers, the government has delayed the 20% TCS rule for overseas remittances over 7 lakh rupees. Now, the new rule will come into effect from the 1st of October instead of the 1st of July, which was the earlier deadline. Surabhi joins us now with more on this postponement and other fine print. Surabhi.
Let me start with the basics. What has the government done? The government has decided to postpone including international credit card spends as part of LRS or the liberalized remittance scheme. What will now happen is that any payments made by credit cards when we're not in India, outside India, whether it's that coffee or whether it's that, that book that you're buying on an overseas holiday, all that is not part of the LRS limit of $250,000 per year. And therefore, since it's not part of the LRS overall scheme of things, there is no question of TCS. That's how things are going to be with respect to payments made out of the country. But if you're using international credit cards and making certain payments sitting here in India for some sort of let's say a foreign purchase on a foreign website, then this will be part of LRS and TCS provisions will apply. Let me now move to the other category of payment instruments like Forex cards. Here the clarity is most welcome because the government has decided to treat all of the other payment instruments, whether you're looking at Forex cards or you're looking at cash, foreign currency cash, dollars or euros that you might want to take overseas with you when you're traveling, or even UPI transactions, given how popular UPI is now becoming in certain destinations like Singapore. Again here, all remittances will be counted as LRS. However, there is no TCS on spends up to 7 lakh rupees, and that's a very important threshold, which brings me to point number 3, the 7 lakh threshold itself. So what happens to the TCS provisions now? Whatever remittances are going out under LRS, they will be subject to TCS provisions. However, up to 7 lakhs, there is no case of paying any TCS or tax collected at source. TCS is going to be levied once the spends or once the remittance crosses the threshold of 7 lakh rupees. And again, there are categories over here. So if there is a remittance by way of education expenses, and this is in the form of an education loan, then the TCS above 7 lakhs is going to be just 0.5%. If there is remittance, which is not an education loan, but it's a lump sum payment, say a parent paying for their child's education overseas or a medical treatment expense, and going above the threshold of 7 lakh rupees, then the TCS is going to be 5%. For all other categories, the moment you cross the expense limit of 7 lakh, then the TCS comes in at 20%. It's interesting to note that on tour packages, there will be a TCS of 5% even up to the level of 7 lakhs.
All right, Surabhi, many thanks for breaking that down for us. Now, while the government has decided to extend the date of the new TCS regime to the 1st of October, the last day to link your permanent account number, your PAN number with Aadhaar, ends today. This means that unlinked PAN will become inoperative from the 1st of July. That is where things currently stand. Now, the Karnataka High Court has dismissed Twitter's petition against the takedown orders from the Government of India. Justice Krishna Dikshit also imposed a 50 lakh rupee penalty on Twitter for not complying with the government's orders in a timely manner. The case was about 10 blocking orders issued by the government to the social media company. The court ruled that Twitter's plea was devoid of any merit and it must have complied with the law. Justice Dixit said he's convinced by the government's stance that it not only has the power to block tweets, but it can also block accounts. The case was closely tracked by many experts, seeing this as a challenge to freedom of expression. It also highlighted Twitter's prickly relationship with the government. Just last week, Elon Musk, the new owner of Twitter, met Prime Minister Modi in New York. Speaking to the media, Musk said Twitter has no option but to obey government orders in India. Take a look.
Twitter doesn't have a choice but to obey local governments. You know, if we don't obey local government laws, then we will get shut down. So the best we can do is really to hew close to the law in any given country. But it is impossible for us to do more than that, or we will be blocked and our people will be arrested. So one cannot just apply, America to Earth, because Earth is not. They have different rules and regulations and different forms of government.
There is ample room to grow. Ample room to grow lawfully, ample room to grow even in compliance with the Indian law. So therefore, I hope there is a learning from this for Twitter and indeed for all platforms. And of course, to Shri Jack Dorsey, that the government of India's expectations always, previously and today and in the future, will always be simply this: compliance with the law.
Well, that is Rajiv Chandrasekhar, the Minister of State for Information Technology, reacting to the Karnataka High Court order, which has found Twitter's petition lacking any substance. Now, the centre has rolled out schemes to incentivize manufacturing of electrolyzers and green hydrogen. This comes ahead of the government's 3-day global conference on green hydrogen, which is set to be held in the capital. Abhimanyu Sharma gets us the latest. Abhimanyu, take us through what's being planned.
The union government has rolled out 2 schemes under the National Green Hydrogen Mission to incentivize production of electrolyzers and production of green hydrogen across India. Both the schemes will be financed from the total outlay which has been made under the National Green Hydrogen Mission and will be applicable for a period of 5 financial years beginning in FY 25-26. The first scheme for electrolyzer manufacturing has an outlay of rupees 4,440 crores and the initial incentive outlay for the base incentive will begin from rupees 4,440 per kilowatt and will taper down over a period of 5 years. The second scheme is for green hydrogen, for which an outlay of rupees 13,050 crores has been made. The incentives will be capped at rupees 50 per kg in the first year, at rupees 40 per kg in the second year, and at rupees 30 per kg in the third year. So clearly, both the schemes announced by the government have a tapering down of the incentives which are going to be provided, and they have also laid out a comprehensive plan as far as the eligibility criteria as well as penalties for several potential bidders is concerned.
Abhimanyu, many thanks for joining us. And speaking of green hydrogen, the World Bank has sanctioned a $1.5 billion loan to finance India's low-energy carbon program. In a press statement, the organization said it aims to help the government execute its green hydrogen plans and scale up its renewable energy projects. The initial public offering of India's leading drone maker, Idea Forge, has been subscribed more than 100 times on the last day of the bidding process. As of 4 p.m., robust demand was led by qualified institutional investors whose portion was subscribed around 120 times. The retail portion was subscribed more than 84 times, while employees bid 94 times their quota. We see strong potential in the Indian aviation market. That's the word in from Sean Doyle, Chairman and CEO at British Airways. Speaking to CNBC-TV18, Doyle said the global demand for aviation is back to pre-pandemic levels and the company is seeing strong demand in air travel. However, he added that rising inflation was hurting the business environment. Take a look.
You know, we're actually back in a number of markets ahead of 2019 levels. So I mentioned the United States being a key market to connect India with. We're now flying to 31 cities. So we've actually more destinations in the US we're serving than we did pre-pandemic. And I do think that what we are seeing is planes are very full. The mix of traffic is different. A lot of people visiting friends and relatives, a lot of people on leisure. And as you say, business travel is lagging. But I think the effect of those 3 channels is actually very positive for the industry as we sit here today. I think the opportunity and potential of the Indian market is incredible. You can see that domestically, but we also see it economically. Now, for British Airways, it's very exciting because we have a very big diaspora community in the UK.
That's right.
But we also connect, of course, that diaspora community with the United States and Canada through our hub here at Heathrow. So I think, we'd always like to have a leadership position as a European carrier. Business environment is suffering the effects of inflation, and our input costs obviously go up. Our fuel costs, you've got to remember, are higher as well compared to 2019. And, the economics of running an airline means that you do have to recover some of those costs. We do see most of the places we fly to, there is an alternative carrier offering competitive fares. But I think we're part of the economic cycle where a lot of the input costs are going up, and I think to be economically viable, we do have to recover, a proportion of those costs.
And you can catch the full interview with British Airways CEO Sean Doyle on our programme Global Dialogues at 5:30 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. right here on CNBC-TV18. Here's the latest in the Reliance Capital insolvency matter. Sources tell CNBC-TV18 that lenders have approved the Hinduja Group-led IIHL's resolution plan for the company with an overwhelming majority. But this may not be the end of the matter yet. Ritu joins us now to explain where this leaves things. Ritu.
Well, Reliance Capital's Committee of Creditors has given its nod to the resolution plan proposed by IndusInd International Holdings, or IIHL, which is a Hinduja Group company, which brings a finality of sorts to the bidding process after multiple rounds and litigation-related delays. Now, we understand that the voting process to approve the plan, which started on the 9th of June, ended on Thursday, with an overwhelming 99.6% of the lenders voting in favour of Hinduja's bid. Now, this was the sole offer on the table, with other suitors like Torrent, Piramal Cosmia and Oaktree not participating in the last round. Under this resolution plan, we understand that Hinduja has proposed to acquire Reliance Capital for a sum of about 9,661 crores, all of it in upfront cash. And additionally, Reliance Capital has cash balance of around 350 to 400 crores on its books, which will also be distributed to the lenders. And that takes the total recovery to approximately 10,000 crores. And given that financial creditors have made claims of about 25,000 odd crores, this will amount to a recovery of close to 40% for the lenders of Reliance Capital. Now, while the approval of the plan is a step forward, the process is not yet concluded. Now, after the lenders' approval, the resolution plan will have to be approved by RBI, by NCLT and even the Supreme Court. Now, that is because Torrent, which is one of the suitors, had challenged the reopening of the bids in the Apex Court, and that matter is still pending final orders. And the Supreme Court is next scheduled to hear the case only in August. So while the approval of the plan is a step forward, there is still some uncertainty that looms.
Okay, Ritu, uncertainty continues. Many thanks for joining us. Artificial sweetener aspartame used in diet sodas and other sugar-free products is set to be declared a possible carcinogen. More details when we return. India's landmark taxation law, the Goods and Services Tax, will complete 6 years on the 1st of July. The pendulum has swung from compensation issues and rate rationalization to curbing evasion and fake invoicing. The industry is clamoring for clarity on the basics: GST and data sharing, online gaming, new age industries, among other issues. Sapna is here with a lowdown on the government's focus and what industry wants from the GST regime going forward. Sapna.
Well, definitely the course correction has been very obvious since the GST mop-up touched around, monthly mop-up touched an average of 1.5 lakh odd crore. Now, from there, the gears have shifted mainly towards government focusing all its energy, not just the centre but also the state governments, in trying to track down evasion and trying to curb the menace of fake invoicing. And over here, there is also an intense interaction which is on with the industry as well. So we have been given to understand from government officials that in the days to come, probably the net is going to be cast wider in terms of more sourcing of data. As of now, already Aadhaar income tax verifications, cross-checking of registrations with Aadhaar and income tax are already on. In the times to come, probably the MCA data is also going to be included. It may already have been included in certain instances, but it's an evolving situation. Going forward, this is going to be the one big focus, even in the coming times, of the centre, especially in trying to crack down on this. If you look at some of the data that has been doing the rounds, there has been a 2-month campaign done by the CBIC. So we're given to understand probably 60,000 entities have been identified with fake registrations. And, some physical checks have been done on some over 40,000 of them. So these are big numbers that we're talking about. It may also be possible that in the upcoming GST Council, the outcome of this 2-month investigation may be actually shared with the Council, and maybe some further steps will be taken. So I think the centre's focus is extremely clear. No talk of rate rationalization or any further issues on GST compensation, but evasion is where they're looking at. In terms of industry, well, again, a host of demands right now. First, setting up of GST tribunals. It never took off despite the rollout of GST. Further simplification of the Act, decriminalization of GST Act. Also, a wider and a more comprehensive amnesty scheme where tax dues can also be covered. Clarity on online gaming, whether it's betting or whether it's something else. What are going to be the rates on that? Also, new industries like crypto. So industry has its own, host of demands ready. I'm sure the government and the council will be looking into it. But clearly, this is a big change in the last 6 years. From rate rationalization to mopping up GST revenues, all focus on that front. It's clearly on evasion and simplification of the law now.
All right, Sapna, many thanks for joining us. 6 years of the GST. Artificial sweetener aspartame used in diet sodas and other sugar-free products is set to be declared as a possible carcinogen. A report by Reuters says that the WHO's cancer unit is likely to make the announcement next month. Archana Solanki, who's been tracking that story, joins us now with more. Archana, this has not been made official yet by the WHO, but what are media reports suggesting?
Thank you, Shireen. Well, if you're shy away from sugar and rely on artificial sweeteners, or if you consume Diet Coke, low-calorie desserts, condiments, sugar-free chewing gums, ready-to-drink teas, breakfast cereals and zero-sugar beverages, then this report is for you. Well, according to a Reuters report, a popular low-calorie artificial sweetener named aspartame is most likely to be declared a possible carcinogenic or cancer-causing element next month by WHO's Cancer Research Agency, IARC. Now, WHO has 4 levels of classification: carcinogenic, probably carcinogenic, possibly carcinogenic, and not classifiable. Now, aspartame is likely to be classified in the 3rd category, which is possibly carcinogenic, and it is going to fall in the same category as lead and some pesticides. This is the first time such labeling will be done decades after aspartame was authorized for use in the US. The year was 1974. Now, more than 90 countries, including India, use it. It has no calories and is approximately 200 times sweeter than table sugar. Now, India's FSSAI has mandated that products containing aspartame should clearly mention the name of the sweetener. Now, the most important question, is it bad for you? Well, we'll have to wait till July 14th when the IARC will make its findings public. However, it is unlikely to tell us how much quantity to consume in order to stay in that safe band. Well, that clarification might come from WHO's separate expert committee called JECFA, which is also reviewing aspartame. it will likely make this assessment on the same day, that is 14th of July. And it's interesting to note that since 1981, JECFA, WHO's expert committee, has said that aspartame is safe to consume within acceptable daily limits. For example, if an adult weighing 60 kg would have to drink between 12 to 36 cans of diet soda, depending on the amount of aspartame in the beverage, every day to be at risk. Now, this depends on the quantity also of aspartame. Now, all answers will be given to us on 14th of July. Back to you.
All right, Archana, appreciate you joining us. And with that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of Business 360. Thanks very much for watching. But on the other side, our Friday favorite, Editors Roundtable, coming up.